ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Chapter 7. Further inquiries by Vidura. Trisuka uvacha. Evam brahmanam maitreyan dvepayana suto bhutaha. प्रीणायान्निव भारत्या विदुरः प्रत्यभासत.
Translation. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O king, while Maitreya, the great sage, was thus speaking, Vidura, the learned son of Dvaipayana Vyasa, expressed a request in a pleasing manner by asking this question.
Vidura uvacha Brahman katham bhagavate chitramatasya vikarinaha leelaya chapi yuccheran nirgunasya gunaha kriyaha.
Translation. Sri Vidura said, O great Brahmana, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete spiritual whole and is unchangeable, how is he connected with the material modes of nature and their activities? If this is his pastime, how do the activities of the unchangeable take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature?
क्रीडायामुद्यमोऽर्थस्य कामश्रीक्रीडिसा अन्यतः स्वतस्तृप्तस्य च कथं निवृत्तस्य सदान्यतः.
Translation. Boys are enthusiastic to play with other boys or with various diversions because they are encouraged by desire. But there is no possibility of such desire for the Lord because he is self-satisfied and detached from everything at all times.
आस्त्राक्षित् भगवान् विश्वं गुणमय्यात्ममायया तया संस्थापयेत् उत्भूय प्रत्यभिधास्यति.
Translation. By his self-sheltered potency of the three modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her, he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again.
देशतः कालतो यवसत् अवस्थातः स्वतोऽन्यतः अविलुप्तावबोधात्मा सह युज्येताजया कथम्.
Translation. The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situations, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nescience?
भगवानेक एवैष सर्वक्षेत्र स्वस्थितः अमुष्य दुर्भगत्वं वा कलेशो वा कर्मभिः कुतः.
Translation. The Lord, as the Supersoul, is situated in every living being's heart. Why then do the living entities' activities result in misfortune and misery?
एतस्मिन् मे मनो विद्वन् खीद्यते जनः संकस्ते तनः पराणुदवीतो कस्मलं मानसं महत्.
Translation. O great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned by the distress of this nescience, and I therefore request you to clear it up.
त्रिसुत उवाच स इत्थं चोदितः क्षत्रा तत्त्वजिज्ञासुना मुनिः प्रत्याह भगवच्चित्तः samanya eva gata smayah.
Translation. Sukadev Goswami said, O King Maitreya, being thus agitated by the inquisitive Vidura, at first seemed astonished, but then he replied to him without hesitation, since he was fully God-conscious.
Maitreya uvacha teyam bhagavato maya yanyeva virudyate isvarasya vimuktasya karpanyamuta bandhanam.
Translation. Sri Maitreya said, certain conditioned souls put forward the theory that the Supreme Brahman, or the personality of Godhead, is overcome by illusion or maya, and at the same time they maintain that he is unconditioned. This is against all logic.
Yadarthena vinamushya punsam atma viparyayah pratiyat upadrashtuhu swasirasachedana chedanikah.
Translation. The living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off.
Yatha jale chandramasah kampadistatakakrito gunaha drishyate san api drashtur datmano natmano gunaha.
Translation. As the moon reflected on water appears to the seer to tremble due to being associated with the quality of the water, so the self associated with matter appears to be qualified as matter.
Savai nivritti dharmena vasudevanukampaya bhagavat bhakti yogena tirodhate saneriha.
Translation. But that misconception of self-identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Vasudev, through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment.
Yadendriya paramotha drashtaratmani pare haro viliyante tada kaleshaha sansuptascheva kritasnaha.
Translation. When the senses are satisfied in the seer supersoul, the personality of Godhead, and merge in him, all miseries are completely vanquished as after a sound sleep.
Asesa sankalesha samam vidyate गुणानुवादस्वर्णं मुरारे किं वा पुनस्तात चरणारविन्दं परगसेवारतेर् आत्मलप्ता.
Translation. Simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental name, form, etc. of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable conditions. Therefore, what to speak of those who have attained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet?
Vidura uvacha sanchina sansayo mahyam tava suktasina vipo upayatrapi bhagavan mano me sampratavati.
Translation. Vidur said, O powerful sage, my lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities have now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them.
साध्येवेतद्विव्याहतम् व्याहतं विद्वन् आत्ममायायनं हरेः आपात्य पार्थ निर्मूलं विश्वमूलं न यद्वभिः.
Translation. O learned sage, your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned souls have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord.
यश्च मूढतमो लोके यश्च बुद्धेः परं गतः तावूपो सुखमेत्यते क्लिश्यन्त्यान्तरितो जनः.
Translation. Both the lowest of fools and he who is transcendental to all intelligence enjoy happiness, whereas persons between them suffer the material pangs.
अर्थाभावं विनिश्चित्य प्रतीतस्यामिनात्मनः तां चापि युष्मच्चरणं सेवयाहं पराणुदे.
Translation. But my dear sir, I am obliged to you because now I can understand that this material manifestation is without substance, although it appears real. I am confident that by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea.
यत्सेवया भागवतः कुटस्थस्य मधुद्विषः रतिरासो भवेत् तीव्रः पादयोर्व्यासनादनः.
Translation. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of the Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses.
दुरापाहि अल्पतापसः सेवा वैकुण्ठवाट्मसु यत्रोपगीयते नित्यं देवदेवो जनार्दनः.
Translation. Persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vaikunthas. Pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigods and the controller of all living entities.
सृष्टवाग्रे महदादिनि सविकारण्यनुक्रमात् तेभ्यो विराजम् उद्धृत्य तामनुप्राविशेत् विभुः.
Translation. After creating the total material energy, the Mahatattva, and therefore manifesting the gigantic universal form with senses and sense organs, the Supreme Lord entered within it.
Hare Krishna. Please forgive me any mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Usha Mataji and Kirti Mataji. Very beautiful recitations. Thank you so much. Okay, so we shall move into our Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, thank you so much, dear devotees, for kindly joining this evening to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, before we start, first we shall offer our Mangalacharan prayers and prayers to the Lord and Gurus and Vaishnavas. Oh. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांशं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणसिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिनि नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिन् इति नामिनि नमस्ते सारस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृणुतां प्रकटाः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृद्यन्तस्त्वय्य भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृसतां नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी एतेषां सकलाः पुंसः कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयम् इन्द्रारिव्याकुलं लोकं मृडयन्ति युगे युगे इदं भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्मसंहितं उत्तमश्लोकचरितं चकार भगवान् ऋषिः निःश्रेयसाय लोकधन्यं स्वस्तये नमः कृष्णे सुदामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह खलु न शुषामेषा पुराणार्को अधुनोदितः कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रये अथ विश्वेश विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेषु मे स्नेहपाशमिमं चिन्तिदृढं पाण्डिषु विष्णुषु त्वयिमेनन्यविषया मतिर्मदपते सत्कृत् रतिमुद्वाहत दद्ध गङ्गेव भूदन्वति श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सख विष्णुर्षभावनिधृराजन्यवंशदहनानपवर्गवीर्य गोविन्द गोद्विजसुराट्यहरावतार योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन्नमस्ते योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन्नमस्ते योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन्नमस्ते तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गीसङ्गस्य मच्चेनां किमुत शशः पुनश्च भूयात् भगवत्यनन्ते रतिः प्रसङ्गर्ष तदाश्रयेषु महस्तु यामुप्यां सृष्टिं मैत्रसुतरोत्र नमो द्विजेभ्यः नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामिने गौरत्विषे नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरम् श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे बालोऽप्यदनुग्रहात् तरेनानामतग्राह व्याप्तं सिद्धान्तसागरम् श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे यत्पादाश्रीवीरितः सङ्गृणाचाकरव्रातात् अज्ञासिद्धान्तसन्मनीन् ॐ नमो भगवते राधा गोविन्दाय नमः Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you so much for waiting. Okay, I shall share my screen. Okay, so we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's the third canto, chapter 7. It is the questions by Vidura to Maitreya Rishi. So here in the previous chapter, so the chapter is about the creation of the universe. So Maitreya Rishi was explaining to Vidura all these things about the Virata Rupa form. So after saying that one, concluding that one, he stopped it, and then now coming to the conversations between the Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. And then Sukadeva Goswami is saying to Parikshit that after Maitreya Rishi spoke, and then later on further to inquire more from the Maitreya Rishi, Vidura is asking in a very humble manner and with so much of interest, he is asking. Likewise, Sukadeva Goswami is saying here, and later on, Vidura's questions will be put in front of the Maitreya Rishi so that Maitreya Rishi can answer. Okay, so we shall start the further inquiries by Vidura, chapter 7 and verse number 1. Shri Sukovacha. एवं ब्रुवाणं मैत्रेयं द्वैपायन सुतो भूतः प्रेणयन्निव भारत्या विदुरः प्रत्यभाषत एवं ब्रुवाणं मैत्रेयं. So Sukadeva Goswami is saying, evam brahmanam Maitreyam. So thus, in such a way, Maitreya Rishi spoke to Vidura. So who is the Vidura? He is the Dvaipayana Suto Buddha. He is the son of Vyasadeva, Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva has he got a few children. Few children are Dhritarashtra, Pandu, Vidura, and also Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is also half brother to Vidura. So Sukadeva Goswami is saying about him. Evam Brahmanam Maitreయం Dvaipayana Suto Buddha. And then Prenayan Iva Bharatya Vidraha Pratyabhashata. Prenayan Iva Bharatya. So in such a way, in a pleasing manner, he is asking in a pleasing manner, Prenayan Iva Bharatya, in the matter of request. Vidraha Pratyabhashata, and Vidura expressed his request in front of Maitreya Rishi. Evam Brahmanam Maitreయం Dvaipayana Suto Buddha Prenayan Iva Bharatya Vidraha Pratyabhashata. So, translation for this verse. Shri Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, while Maitreya, the great sage, was thus speaking, Vidura, the learned son of Dvaipayana Vyasa, expressed a request in pleasing manner by asking this question. So here when we are asking the spiritual master, we need to be very humble and meek and show our interest and enthusiasm. Very kutuhalam, parama kutuhalam me, shraddhadhanaya bhaktaya bruhi tajjanma vistaram. Rushi me trupiti manaha, na trupiti manaha, param kautuhalam hime. When we hear any Krishna Katha about any pastimes, we have to show that express in front of the spiritual master, the speaker, so that all of the consciousness will be awakened by the Lord in the heart, and then they can speak more and more. Everyone will immerse in that pastimes. Sumachitta madghita prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So that tushyanti ramanti, so that will take place between the speaker and the hearers. So this is here Priyaniva Bharatya Vidraha Pratyabhashata. He has put his request in a pleasing manner. So that is verse. There is no purport for this one. So we shall move to the next verse. So what Vidura is inquiring from Maitreya Rishi. So Vidurvavacham Brahman Katam Bhagavataha Chinmatrasya Avikariнаha Lelaya Chapi Yujjeran Nirgunasya Gunah Kriyaha Brahman Katam Bhagavataha. And here Vidura is asking Maitreya Rishi, Brahman, O Brahmana, O Maitreya Rishi, O Brahmana, Katam Bhagavataha, and how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chinmatrasya Avikarinah. He is of the complete spiritual whole. Chinmatrasya Avikarinah, of the unchangeable. So here the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always completely full in knowledge and always Satchidananda Vigraha, full in knowledge, eternal and all happiness. He is a Chinmatrasya here, Chit, eternal. Matrasya, of the complete spiritual role, Avikarinaha, of the unchangeable. His body is never deteriorated by any of these things, by the time or any of these material things. Chinmatrasya Avikarinaha, Lelaya chapi Ujjeran, and whether he pastimes by Lelaya cha api Ujjeran, whether that takes place by his Lelaya. Lelaya is the wonderful pastimes, Leelas. If it is the materialistic things, it is karma. When the Lord does, it is the Leela. Leelaya chapyujjeran. And nirgunasya guna kriyaha. Nirgunasya guna kriyaha. And here the Lord is nirgunasya, who is without the modes of nature. Gunaha kriyaha. And gunaha kriyaha. So the modes of nature and kriyaha, the activities. So he is asking, Vidra is asking the Supreme, Maitreya Rishi, about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is free from all kinds of materialistic activities. He is Avikarinaha and Chinmatrasya. And how does his activities take place when he comes to this material world in such a way? He is asking, but this material world is of the three material modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. How come he is going to act just like Leelaya without affecting by these three material modes of nature, like that? He is asking. Okay, so Brahman katam bhagavataha chinmatrasya vikarinaha Leelaya chapi jheran nirgunasya gunah kriyaha. So translation, Shri Vidura said, O great Brahmana, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete spiritual whole and is unchangeable, how is he connected with the material modes of nature and their activities? If this is his pastime, how do the activities of the unchangeable takes place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature? It is a very wonderful question and intelligent. And how does he exhibit qualities without the modes of nature? But in our material nature, we may think that this is good, this is not good. It is mode of passion, it is mode of ignorance, he is doing ignorantly. Likewise, we speak. But whenever the Lord does the activities, they are not affected by goodness, passion, or ignorance. They are always transcendental. Okay, likewise here Vidra is asking, how do the activities of the unchangeable take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature? The purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So as described in the previous chapter, the difference between the super soul, the Supreme Lord, and the living entities is that the activities of the Lord in creating the cosmic manifestation are performed by the Lord through the agency of his multifarious energies. So, but his manifestation is bewildering to the living entities. So actually, the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he doesn't have to do anything. He simply wills. All his energies will carry out whatever the Lord desires. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, nat samasya abhitakascha drusyate. So, and Parasaktir Vibhaiva Shurayate Swabhaviki Jnana Kriyacha, Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. So he has got so many energies. He doesn't have to do personally. All his through law, he performs by Lord through the agency of his multifarious energies. Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. But this manifestation is bewildering to the living entities. So sometimes we also, how come Lord will perform these activities? And in such a way, they will think that avajhananti mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajhanantu mama bhota maheshwaram. They do not understand. So they think that Krishna is also like an ordinary person, something like that. Avajhananti mudha. They do not know about the Lord's pastimes and his internal potency. So the Lord is therefore the master of the energies, whereas the living entities are subjugated by them. So the Lord is the Mayam Chatad Apashriyam. So whereas the living entities are this Badna, they're always Badnanti, always entangled. But until someone who is freed from the entanglement, he comes and free them, they cannot be freed by themselves. This is Yata Gavanasi Protaha Tancham Baddha Namabihi. Vaktancham Baddha Vaktancham Namabihi Baddaha Balim Vaham Balim Yishituhu. So like the cow is having a noose thread and also it has got a long thread and tied to a proper rod so that cow cannot move away from that point of position. In the similar way, all the living entities are Vaktancham Baddhanamabihi. They're all uh, conditioned by the Vedic injunctions. Conditioned by the Vedic injunctions. Vahanti Bhalamishituhu. So by asking various questions about the transcendental activities, Vidra is clearing the misconception that when the Lord either descends to the earth in his incarnation or appears himself with all his potencies. Lord either descends to earth in his incarnation or appears himself with all his potencies. He too is subjected to the influence of Maya, just like an ordinary living entity. So these are the intelligent questions. Whether Lord will descend by himself or by incarnation, or he is subject to the influence of Maya, or just like any living entity. Likewise, so many questions are Vidura is putting in front of Maitreya Rishi. So this is generally the calculation of less intelligent philosophers who consider the position of the Lord and that of the living entities to be on the same level. This is Avajananti Mamodha. It is the less intelligent philosophers. So Vidura is hearing the great sage Maitreya refute these arguments. So he wanted to hear from the Maitreya Rishi all this the position of the Lord. So the Lord is described in this verse as Chinmatra or completely spiritual. Whenever Krishna comes here into this material world, Prakritim Swam Adhishtasya and Sambhavami Atmamaya Ajopi San Avyayatma Ajopi San Avyayatma Bhotanam Ishwaropi San. He is the supreme controller. And Prakritim Swam Avastabhya Sambhavami Atmamaya, he comes by his internal potency. So the personality of Godhead has unlimited potencies to create and manifest many wonderful things, both temporary and permanent. So whatever Lord has done all the past times, everything is recorded in the Puranas and Bhagavata and everywhere else, but not the materialistic people's activities. They're simply taking birth and perform some karma and fruitive activities and then die. But Lord's pastimes are all permanent. So because this material world is the creation of his external energy. This is the Lord says that Bhumirapo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankariti me bhinna prakriti rastada. So these 8 elements of the Lord's external energy. It is create our material bodies and the entire universe. It does appears to be temporary. It is the temporary. It is manifested at certain intervals, maintained for some time, and again dissolved and conserved in his own energy. As described in the Bhagavad Gita 8.19, Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. So because this is Ashashvatam, this is Ashashvatam, it is not permanent. Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate, it is created and maintained and destroyed in due course of time. It is Rasa iti namidam Chakurmeshwaraya. It is just like a Lord's pastime. Shashvad Nivrit Tamasa Sadda Nugrahaya. It is Rasa iti namidam Chakurmeshwaraya. So Brahma in his prayers he prays to Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. You just create and maintain and destroy as a Rasa iti nama Chakurmeshwaraya. You perform like a Leela. But the creation of his internal potency, the spiritual world, is not a temporary manifestation like the material world, but is eternal and full of transcendental knowledge, opulence, energy, strength, beauties, and glories. Such manifestation of the Lord's potencies are eternal and are therefore called nirguna. So this is all eternal. Nirguna are free from all tinges of the modes of material nature, even up to the mode of material goodness. This is the Vishuddham, Sattvam Vishuddham, Vasudeva Siddhitam, Yadete Tatra Puman Apavritah, Satvej Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo, Hedokchijo me namasa vidhiyate. So he is completely Vishuddha Sattvam, in the mode of Vishuddha Sattvam, which is beyond the goodness of this material world, that is spiritual world. And spiritual world is the permanent where all his activities, there is no time influence, no material modes of nature, no influence of Maya. That is spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka. No misery is there. So to approach the Lord, we have to Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya, the Bhakti which should be Nirgunasihi Udahrutam. That is called Bhakti, Nirgunasihi Udahrutam. We do not see whether it is good or in the passion or ignorance. It is always transcendental. Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya Nirgunasihi Udahrutam. Ahetukya apihra, Ahetukya apihra, Bhakti Purushottami, without any motivation and without any interruption. That is Bhakti Purushottami. What that is rendered to the Supreme Lord, that is called Bhakti. When we are approaching a person of the Nirguna quality, our activities also should be in the similar way, without any motivation. And the spiritual world is transcendental even to material goodness, and thus is unchangeable. Since the Supreme Lord of such eternal and unchangeable qualities is never subjugated by anything like material influence, how can his activities and form be conceived to be under the influence of illusory Maya, as is the case with the living entities? So here, this is the Vidra's question. How can his activities and form be conceived to be under the influence of illusory Maya, as this is the case with the living entities? So likewise, some questions we have to put, whether it is, but we need to put it in an appropriate way so that it is understood by the speaker. Okay, so that, but spiritual world here it is unchangeable. And his qualities, whenever it is not changeable, not influenced by the time, then nothing can influence the Lord. Okay, so those things will be further explained. And further Prabhupada says, a juggler or magician displays many wonders with his acts and arts. He can become a cow by his magical tactics, and yet he is not that cow. But at the same time, the cow displayed by the magician is not different from him. So this is yata nata dharo तदा परमहंसानां मुनीनाम् अमलात्मनं भक्ति योग विधानार्थं कथं पश्येम हि स्त्रियः. So here in the Kunti Maharani prayers, she also plays yatha natidharo yatha, as the Lord's pastimes. They are all namaste purusham twadmishwaram prakrute param alaksham sarvabhutanam antarbahir avasitam maya javanikachannam adhnadokshiyam avayam. So there, yata natidharo yata. So like a magician, you perform O Krishna. Likewise, Kunti Maharani was praying to Krishna. That is Kunti prayers. Okay, so it is a magician, a cow displayed by the magician, but he is not different from him. Similarly, the material potency is not different from the Lord because it is an emanation from him. But at the same time, that manifestation of the potency is not the Supreme Lord. See, it is his energy. So just like the sun in the sky, the Vivaswan is in the, he is the ruling deity of the sun planet, and the sun is giving the light and heat to all the living entities. But still, we are all consuming that heat and light. But at the same time, the sun is very far and he is separate from his energy. So the Lord's transcendental knowledge and potency always remain the same. They do not change, even when displayed in the material world. He is always complete whole. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. He is complete whole. Either 1 plus 1 equal to 1, 1 minus 1 equal to 1. He is always complete. He is not changed. He is the Purnam. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord descends to the earth by his own internal potency, and therefore there is no question of his becoming materially contaminated, changed, or otherwise affected by the modes of nature. He is a Sambhavami Atma Maya. So the soul, it is what is the dimension of the soul? It is 1 by 10,000 part of the tip of the hair. That is the dimension of the soul. But whenever the Lord, he comes in his own body, he's completely purely spirit, complete spirit. This is a pure spirit. He will never be changed. His body is never get deteriorated. So there are so many prayers of that Brahma. He prays that ज्ञातोऽसि मेज्य सुचिराननुदेहबाजं न ध्यायतु भगवतो गतिरिध्यवध्यं नान्यत्वदिस्ति भगवन्नपि तन्न शुद्धं मायागुणविचिकराद् यद्गुरुर्विभासि रूपं यद्येतद् अवबोधरसोदयेन शश्वन्निवृत्ततमसद् अनुग्रहाय आदौ गृहीतमवतारशतैकबीजं यन्नापि पद्मभवनदहमाविरासम्. So those prayers, it explains the Lord, he appears without changing. He is always eternal. Maya guna vitikara yad gurur vibhasti rupam yad yetad avbodhara sodayena shashvannivruta tamasa sadanugrahaya adu grihita mavatara shadaika bijam janna vipadma bhavanad ahamavirasam. So the Lord, he takes as the Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, who is the source of all other incarnations within this universe. Adu Grihita Mavatar Shteka Bijam. But even that Garbhodakasaya Vishnu is not the he himself is not affected. And he comes from the Karnadaksaya Vishnu, and Karnadaksaya Vishnu comes from Mahasankrishna, and then the Narayana, and Narayana again. Where is Garbhodakasaya Vishnu? Where is Krishna? So many layers. But here Brahma is offering his praise to the Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. Of course, sometimes because he is also lying in the waters emanated from his body, he is also called Narayana, Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. So that we have seen that statement in the second canto in the chapter 10. Okay, so here the Lord is not affected by the modes of material nature. Because how do we understand? So if we see the pastimes of Krishna, he has crossed this universe and went to the Mahavishnu, crossing this material world, material universe, which is of the 7 layers, earth, water, fire, and crossing, and also Mahatattva, crossing all these 7 layers. Each layer is the 10 times bigger than the other layer. So likewise, crossing all these things, he took Arjuna along with him in his chariot, and then sometimes when he was crossing that universe, everything was dark. At that time, he used his Sudarshan Chakra so that his horses can move forward, and went to the Karnataka Vishnu to get the children of Brahmana. So that Brahmana who was in the Dwaraka, so every time he begot 9 children. All the children were, as soon as they took birth, and they were dying. So and then every time he used to go to the Sudharma Sabha, and he used to rebuke Krishna, Balaram, and all the this Yadava dynasty. So no one. So I have not done any sinful activity as far as I'm aware of. But if anything is happening, for that reason, only the ruler, only the king is the reason. In such a, but Krishna was very quiet. He did not say anything. And then 9 times he was doing, and then every time coming and doing. But actually, this is Karnadaksaya Vishnu wanted to see Krishna. So for that purpose, Karnadaksaya Vishnu used to take this Brahmana's children. So at that time, in the 10th time, Arjuna was present in the Dwaraka, and then hearing those words from the Brahmana saying that you think that I am Krishna, I am Balram, or I am the Yadava people, any one of these things, I am Arjuna. So I will protect your sons. So now I'll come to your home. So please let me know when your wife is. pregnant. And then he says to Brahmana, and Brahmana says, do you think that you are the greater than Krishna and Balaram, anything? But still, you are saying that one, but but then Arjuna also promised that if I am not able to protect your child, then I will enter into the fire. So later on, the Brahmana called Arjuna when his wife was pregnant, about to deliver. Arjuna was guarding his home, and then but still the child born, and then he died. So and then Brahmana, he criticized Arjuna. So where is your vows and all those things? And then Arjuna he can't say anything. So he was preparing himself to enter into the fire. Then Krishna come into the picture, and Arjuna, don't worry, I know where these children are there. And then Krishna took Arjuna in his chariot and crossed these 7 layers of the universe and entered into the spiritual world where Mahavishnu was there. And then there is a conversation. So he says that I only took these children so that I wanted to see, oh Krishna and Arjuna, both of you. That's why, that is the reason. So here, what I meant to say here, the Lord is not contaminated. Though he is in his crosses where either spiritual world and material world. He is not changed. So even Arjuna was, when he is accompanying Krishna, he was also, because Krishna is there, he was also able to freely go to the spiritual world along with Krishna. So that etadishadimishasya prakrusopi tadgunaihi naijite sadatmastaihi yada buddhihi tadashraya. So when Krishna is not affected by any of these things, then yada buddhihi tadashraya. But whoever is taking the shelter of Krishna, they are also not affected by the material modes of nature. So, and here again further Prabhupada says, the Lord is Saguna by his internal potency, but at the same time he is Nirguna. Nirguna means it is not the material things, that is Nirguna, but Saguna is beyond that. They say transcendental qualities. But his qualities are being glorified by Yasyavadar Gunakarma Vidhambanani Namani Yeshu Vigame Vivasa Grunanti Te Neka Janma Shamalam Saiva Hitva Samyanta Pavrutamrutam Tamajam Prapadhe. So just by his Yasyavatar Gunakarma Vidhambanani, Gunakarmas, all his gunas are very wonderful things, not of this material world. Just once who hears, he will be free from so many lives of sinful activities. And that is the very beautiful open nectar for everyone to hear the Krishna Katha. Okay, so he is not touched with the material world, not in touch with the material energy. So his material energy, he is the Velajamana. She is always shy to come in front of. That's why she is always behind Krishna. That is apasyat purusham purnam mayancha tad apashriyam. She is always behind Krishna. And the restriction of the prison house are applicable to the prisoners who are condemned by king's law, but king is never affected by such implications, although he may visit prison house out of his goodwill. So this is the, again, analogy is giving. Prabhupada is giving analogy. In the Vishnu Purana, the 6 opulences of the Lord are stated to be non-different from him. The opulence of the transcendental knowledge, strength, opulence, potency, beauty, and renunciation are all identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they are non-different from the Lord. So this is entire thing. Aishwarya Vairagya Yasho Bhoda Virishya Puttam Aham Prapadye. We worship only the Supreme Lord with 6 opulences, not less than that. तान्येव तेभिरूपाणि रूपाणि विविधस्तव यानि यानि च रोचन्ते स्वजनानाम् अरूपिणः त्वां स्तूरिभिः तत्त्वभुवत्सयद्ध सदा अभिवादार्हण पादपीठम् ऐश्वर्य वैराग्य यशोबोध वीर्यश्रिय पूत्तम् अहं प्रपद्ये. So this is the Supreme Personality. Sada Abhivadarhana Padapeetam. With 6 opulences, we worship that Lord, not any cheap Lord by sentimental thing. It's a complete science. Okay, so when he personally displays such opulences in the material world, they have no connection with the modes of material nature. The very word Chinmat, this is Chinmatrava. Chinmatrasya is the guarantee that the Lord's activities are always transcendental. Even when displayed in the material world, his activities are as good as the Supreme Personality himself. Otherwise, liberated devotees like Sukadeva Goswami would not have been attracted by them. They would not be attracted by them. So this is he was parinishtopi bhunya uttama shloka leelaya. Gruhita cheta rajasya akhyanam yadaditavan. Even though I am the parinishti, but I have taken the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam from my father. Tadidam grahyama sutumatmatam sarvaved itihasanam saram saram samudritam. It is contained the essence of all the Vedic sciences. Atma Ramasya Munyo Nirbhandapi Vrukrame Kurvante Kim Bhakti Mittam Bhuto Guno Harihi Atma Ramasya. So here Sukadeva Goswami is Atma Ramasya. So he's interested to hear all the Krishna Kathas. Ittam Bhuto Guno Harihi. And Vidra inquired how the Lord's activities can be in the modes of material nature, as he is sometimes miscalculated by persons with a poor fund of knowledge. So this is an intelligent question. The inability of the material quality is due to the difference between the material body and the spiritual soul, spirit soul. Spirit soul is, even though it is in the body, it is not contacting with any of the material things, either karma or anything else. It is always free. But what we think, the conception is that it is me, ahamameti. Tasya tum tamuswandhasya duspurasya jhaparagam. So here Devhuti means yo agraha ahamameti iti edasmin yojitastvaya. So ahamameti, I have been absorbed in that I am this body only. So tasya tvam tamuswandhasya duspurasya adhyaparagam. Oh my dear Lord Kapila Bhagavan, Kapila Deva, my dear son. So you only can cross this material science from the conception ahamameti. Yo agraha ahamameti iti etasmin yojitastvaya. It is by your external energy only. So please kindly enlighten me. What is body? What is spirit soul? Let me free from this conception. So, and then the conditioned source activities are displayed through the medium of modes of material nature and are therefore perverted in appearance. These are perverted in appearance. However, the Lord's body and the Lord's himself are one and the same. When the Lord's activities are displayed, they are certainly not different from the Lord in all respects. All he is the Janma Karma Chime Divyam Yevam Yo Veti Tatpataha Chaktva Deham Punah Janma Naitimam Yeti Sorjuna. So all my activities, appearance, and these are all divine. Whoever hears these things, they will be liberated in a Tatpataha. So the conclusion is that persons who consider the Lord's activities material are certainly mistaken. These are modas. They will always compare the Lord with them, their activities. Okay, so this is from the Vidra's first question. Brahman katam bhagavataha chinmatrasya avikarinaha leelaya chapi yujheran nirgunasya gunah kriyaha. So likewise, Vidra's first question inquired. And then further we shall move to the next verse. क्रीडायां बुद्धिमो अद्भस्य कामश्चिक्रीडश अन्यतः स्वतृप्तस्य च कथं निवृत्तस्य सदान्यतः क्रीडायां बुद्धिमो अद्भस्य क्रीडायां. So in the matter of playing and Udyamaha in enthusiasm, Arbhasya of the boys, children are always interested to play so many games. Kamas chikridasa anyataha. So they decide to play, the children. Chikridasa, willingness to play. And here, swatas. So here, swatruptasya cha katam. And the Swatruptasya, he is always self-satisfied. He is the Atmarama. Cha Katam, how come when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, children are playing and they are desiring to play everything, that is fine. But when they desire to play, but whereas the Lord, he is always Swatruptasya cha, he is always, even though he is self-satisfied, Katam, how? Nivrittasya sada anyataha. One who is detached at all times. Anyataha, otherwise, how could he will come here and perform his pastimes. Likewise, he is asking another question. Kridayam buddhimo arbhasya kamasya chikridasa anyataha swatrutasya cha katam nivrittasya sada anyataha. So translation, boys are enthusiastic to play with other boys or with various diversions because they are encouraged by desire. But there is no possibility of such desire for the Lord because he is self-satisfied and detached from everything at all times. So it is again a wonderful question. Why Lord will come here and perform his pastimes, though he is self-satisfied and detached from everything? But it is for ourselves. It is for ourselves. Atma Ramasya. This is he is always Atma Ramam Purna Kamam Nijalabena Nichadam. Whenever we hear this katha and discuss this katha and we render some service to the devotees of the Lord, then it is Nijalabena Nichada. It is for ourselves, our benefit. But Lord is Atma Ramam Purna Kamam. So since the purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second, there is no possibility that anything besides Him can exist. He expands Himself by His energies in multi forms of self-expansions and separated expansions as well, just as fire expands itself by heat and light. So the Lord can expand in so many forms, but He is unchanged. So here again, Deepachyarevahi Dasantaram Ubhipecha Deepayate Guruta Hetu Samana Dharma. He expands in so many forms, but one candle expands into so many other candles. But the first candle is still Krishna. Yadjo Yeshwai Bhagavan, Yeshwai Sakchat Bhagavan Adjo Narayana Puman Mohayan Maya Lokam Godasyariti Vishnu Bhishma Dev says. He is the Adjo Narayana Puman. He is the Adi Narayana. Whenever Krishna is present in front of Bhishma Deva along with the Pandavas and he is speaking to Yudhishthira. So the Lord is the Supreme Lord. So he expands into multi forms, but still he is unchanged. And just as fire expands itself by heat and light. Yata ulmukad vispulinga dhomadvapi susambhavat api atmatvena abhimatad yatagnihi prudagulmukad. But the fire, the smoke comes and the fire sparks comes, but it still, the fire is different from all those things. So likewise. Okay, so since there is no other existence besides the Lord himself, the Lord's association with anything manifests his association with himself is not different from him. So this is again Prabhupada is saying that Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyakthamurtina mastani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu avastitaha. Everything rests in me, but I am not part of that one. Mastani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu avastitaha, but I am not within it. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyakthamurtina. So is the complete manifestation of the cosmic situation is an expansion of the Lord himself in his impersonal feature. All things are situated in him only, yet he is not in them. Nateshu, nachaham teshu avastitaha, I am not in them, Krishna says to Arjuna. That is the opulence of the Lord's attachment and detachment. He is attached to everything, yet he is detached from everything. He is always enjoying in the Goloka Vrindavanam. Ananda Chinmay Rasa Pratibhavitabihi Tabhireva Nijrupa Tayakalabihi Goloka Eva Nivsati Akilatma Bhuto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He is always in the Goloka at the same time. He is the everywhere as well. Akilatma Bhutani. So he is the Goloka Eva Nivsati Akilatma Bhuto in the heart of all the living entities as the Tam Jiva Karma Padivim Anuvattamanaha Tapatrayopshamanaya Vayam Bhajema. So this is again praised by the baby in the womb. So likewise, so many of these prayers and everything is addressing Krishna and his qualities and his pastimes. and that's saying that he is the complete personality, spiritual. His body is completely spiritual. So he is always Atma Ramasya and Lord's attachment and detachment. And again, one more Lord's Chitashloki Bhagavata, third Shloki. यथा महान्ति भूतानि भूतेषु चावतेषु न प्रविष्टानि अप्रविष्टानि तदा तेषु नत्वेष्वहम्. So like this universe is covered with the material elements, earth, water, fire, the 7 layers. And likewise, though they are separate, they also enter into the cosmos. Inside it, again, as a Bhumandala and everything, earth, water, fire, they are all, again, they use the living entities when they are born, and they all also take some part of these things, and their bodies for some are humans and dogs, cats, like that. But still, again, these elements are separate. In the similar way, the Lord enters into the cosmos at the same time, he is not. Na chaham teshu avastitah. So this is again good analogies Prabhupada is giving here. So likewise, Vidra's questions are, when the Lord is completely detached and self-satisfied, how come the Lord come to this material world and perform his leelas? Likewise, Vidra is asking. Of course, Vidra also knows he is a devotee, but he is asking, he is desiring, Parama Kautu Halam Hime, very, very enthusiastic. And then we shall move to the next verse. So what else he is asking? अस्राक्षित भगवान विश्वं गुणमयात्ममायया तया संस्थापयत्ये तथा संस्थापयति एतद् भूयः प्रत्यपिदास्यति. Asrakshit Bhagavan Vishwam, Asrakshit, and the Lord caused to create Bhagavan Vishwam, this universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He caused to create this universe, and Gunamayi Atmamaya. So Gunamaya Atmamaya. So endowed with 3 material modes of nature. Maya Atmamaya by the self, by the potency. And Taya Samstapayat Tata Samstapayati Yetad Bhuyaha Pratyapidasyati. And also Samstapayati, he maintains by her. Taya is by the material nature, Prakriti. Samstapayati Yetad, all these. Bhuyaha Pratyapidasyati. Then again, he conversely dissolves also. It is the create and maintain and dissolve by his internal potency. By he does that one, but here outside, it is carried out by the material nature, endowed with the 3 material modes of nature, the Prakriti. This is Srishti Siddhi Pralaya Sadhana Sektireka Chaya Vyasya Bhunan Vivatti Durga Ichanu Rupam Api Yasya Cha Cheshtatesa Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Durga Devi, she carries out Srishti Siddhi Pralaya Sadhana Sektireka in the Ichanu Rupam Api Yasya Cha Cheshtatesa. Icha is by the will of the Lord. Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So here, that is Vidra is further asking. So translation for this verse. By his self-centered potency of the 3 modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her, he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again. So purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this cosmic universe is created by the Lord for those living entities who are carried away by the illusory thought of becoming one with him by imitation. So it is the unlawful desire for the living entities. They wanted to lord it over nature. That is unlawful. Though they're very minute. They belong to the Tatastha Shakti. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetrajñākya Tatapara. Avidya Karma Samnyaya Tritiya Shakti Rishyate. Because of this avidya and this Tatastha Shakti, the living entities belongs to Tatastha Shakti, they will come here and entangle here. The Lord arranges this universe for the conditioned souls. Naitad bhatadish padam tavethitam yanmayanaha tanute bhota sukshmam anugrahaya astu api erhimaya lasatulasya bhagavan vilakshitaha. For the conditions souls, the Lord creates so that they can go and experience that you are the master. Likewise. So the 3 modes of material nature are for further bewilderment of the conditioned souls. It will entangle the individual souls. It's a good, it is a passion or ignorance, like that. It is further bewilderment. So the conditioned living entity, bewildered by the illusory energy, considers himself as a part of the material creation due to forgetfulness of spiritual identity, thus becomes entangled in material activities of life after life. यावत् प्रदुःखमिद्मात्मनि इन्द्रियार्धा माया फलं भगवतो जनईश पश्येत् तावन्न संस्थितिरसोऽपि संक्रमेत व्यर्थापि दुःखनिवहं वहति क्रियार्धा. Whatever he sees that it is for my enjoyment. It is some beautiful things. As soon as I say, oh, very nice. It is. I wanted this beauty. Yavat pradapam idmatmani indriyardha, just only for his sense gratification. That way he'll fall into the samsriti. Ahnyardha, ahnyapruta ardhakarana nisyana. So day and night, day and night. Ahnyapruta ardhakarana. Ardhakarana is very horrible works. Ardhakarana is nisyana, day and night. So he carries out all this Daivardhata Rachana Rishopi Deva Vismriti Sangha Vimuka Iha Samsaranti. So, but as long as they will be falling into this birth, old age, disease, and death, and going to offices and work very hard for the sake of money, but though he is eating very four chapatis only, but he doesn't eat more, but still he works very hard to earn more money and put in a bank balance and for his family members. Atmajay Sudagar Pasu Dravina Bandhushu Niroda Mola Hridaya Atman Bahumanyate. I am the great person. I have got good wife, good children, good land, home, and all the paraphernalia vehicles. There is no better than person. In such a way, he is bewildered. Deha Patya Kalatradishu Atma Sainyeshu Asasapi. It is the Asat. He thinks that all wife and children, they are his soldiers. Atma Sainyeshu Asaswapi. Tesham Pramatto Nidhanam Pasinapi Napasyati. Even though he is seeing many people that are taking birth and dying, he thinks himself that I would stay here, I will earn more and I will accumulate more and save more. And my children, they will enjoy. So likewise, he doesn't see that his father has died previously and his children are also going to die, but he does not see for himself. It is called bewildering energy of the Lord. He considers himself as a part of the material creation due to forgetfulness of his spiritual identity. The Prakriti Sthani Karshati, he struggles here. This is Dukkeshu Gruheshu Gotatantreshu Dukkatantreshu Atinditaha Kurvan Dukka Pradikaram Sukwan Manyite Gruhi. He brings all troubles for himself. Gruheshu Kotatantreshu Dukkatantreshu Atinditaha. And then he brings all the troubles and he will try to solve each problem one after another. Dukkha Kurvan Dukka Pradikaram. Dukkha Pratikaram is the doing opposite to the dukkha. He thinks that that is the sukha. Sukwan manite gurhi. See how wonderful it is. But people they do not know what is the real happiness. The real happiness comes from this is Krishna, the source of the happiness. So this material world is not for the purpose of the Lord himself, but is for the conditioned souls who wanted to be controllers due to misuse of their God-gifted minute independence. See, this is the Lord gives all the knowledge and everything through the Vedic injunctions and Guru Parampara and everything, and then Etechasi Tata Kuru, that is the independence. We can choose, but first of all, he should have a knowledge. What is he and what is supreme, what is the nature, what is the time. Once he has got, then he can utilize that independence properly. Yatechisi tata kuru. Krishna says to Arjuna, you do whatever you like. So now you have got all the knowledge. Then Arjuna, because he understood the knowledge, he says that Karishe vachanam tava, I will do, O Krishna, whatever you say, I will do that one. So the first of all, get the knowledge first, then he can act accordingly. Again, who is Tamahu Panditam Buddha, Karmani Akarmani Karmani Akarmayah Pasyed Akarmani Karmanayah. Whoever sees the karma in the akarma in the karma, he is the Tamahu Panditam Buddha. The Lord says that though he is performing all activities, but he is not doing any of these activities. This is called akarma. That one should have Karmanopi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. So many people are bewildered out by the activities that Krishna is expanding. One has to work for the sake of the Krishna only. In the terms of whoever is doer, and whoever is the receiver, and whoever is including everything, it is Brahma. This is Brahm. What is that one? Brahmagnir Brahmavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmanyaiva Tena Ghantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So this is everything. Whoever is doer, whoever is a receiver, all the activities, Brahma Karma Samadhina. It will become completely a person, Pandita Buddha. He would see everything is in connection with the Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the expansion of his energy. So he has to utilize that knowledge, whatever he is receiving from the Guru Parampara, and approach the spiritual master. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Who has seen the truth, he will teach all the knowledge. So here that is Prabhupada is explaining, and thus the conditioned souls are always subjected to repeated birth and death, who are desiring to krupanaha palahetavaha, trying to eat the fruits of his actions. They are all subjected to birth and death. So likewise Prabhupada is explaining here that this material world is only to make these people. One has to come out that cycle from the birth and death. Okay, so I stop there. There are many things to go on further, but we are near to the time. I request dear devotees, if you have got any questions, kindly ask. If you wanted to share anything, kindly share. So this is the verse. So asrakshit Bhagavan Vishwam Gunamaya Atma Maya Taya Samstapaye Tata Samstapiti Etat Bhuyaha Pratipidashyati. Any questions, dear devotee? Okay, so if there are no questions.
Hare
So,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for nice explanation. I always wanted to know I didn't know why the Brahmanas' children were dying. 9 of them, 10 of them died. And eventually you explained that Karandaksai Vishnu wanted to see Lord Krishna and Arjuna. That's why he was doing this. So we see not in this on this material world that people are doing things like that. Even in the spiritual world, Karandaksai Vishnu wanted to see the Lord, so he did something that the Lord would go to him. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, any other questions or sharings, reflections? Okay, so in that no questions, then we shall conclude our session for tonight. And see you again in the next session. Of course, this time is not sufficient. I don't know, I'm taking more time, but there are so many of those prayers. Everything is nectarian to share. So couldn't stop those things to share. So took more minutes. Okay, so we shall conclude for now. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनन्तकोटिवैष्णववृन्द की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.